Go down to Marcia and Charlotte. He said the rest of them were signed.
Call meeting to order. Let the record show all board members are present. Do you have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, new business. Conduct public hearing on the 25-26 budget. Mr. Butcher.
President Ford, Dr. Starcher, board members. This is the public hearing for the FY26 budget. The budget has been out for public viewing since 5/16, and we've received no comments regarding the FY26 budget. In front of you, you have a binder, and the first handout in that binder is a statistical summary. That's what I'll be going over. We went over the budget document during the work session, so I'm not going to. So I won't be going into detail on that here today, but looking at the statistical summary under revenues, local revenues are projected to be $51,539,000 or 26.86% of budgeted revenues. State revenues, $101,434,000, 52.87%. Federal revenues, $18,564,000, or 9.68%. And this budget requires an unreserved fund balance of $4,504,000. That's about 2.35% of the overall budget. Looking at the budget by programmatic level for instructional services, $73,535,000. That's 38.33%. Special education, $20,036,000, 10.44%. Under support services for students, $8,984,000, or 4.68%. Instructional staff, $5,416,000, or 2.82%. School admin, $7,135,000, or 3.72%. Operation and maintenance of plant, $18,288,000, or 9.53%. Student transportation, $14,340,000, or 7.47%. Child nutrition, $8,860,000, or 4.62%. And the total budgeted expenditures of $191,862,000, of which $166,602,000, or 86.83%, is general fund, and $25,260,000, or 13.17%, is special revenue fund. On page 2, looking at the budget by object area, at the top you can see salaries make up 48.14% of the budget, and the fixed costs on those salaries make up 24.47%. So total salaries and fixed costs are $139,326,000, or 72.62% of the total budgeted costs. Other major object expenditures, repairs and maintenance, $2,444,000, or 1.27%. Construction service, $1,569,000, 0.82%. Interagency purchase services, $2,824,000, or 1.47%. Supplies, $3,799,000, or 1.98%. Energy costs for gas, electric, and propane, $4,115,000, or 2.14%. Child nutrition, $3,316,000, or 1.73%. And vehicle-related fleet maintenance, $2,437,000, or 1.27%. I have a budget summary to go over with you. think last year I read this document to you, and I think Rick wanted a copy, so here you go. Local revenues are projected to increase by $1 million, and that's due mainly to projected tax collections and increase in assessed valuations. State revenues are projected to decrease 1.1 million, and there's a variety of reasons for that, if you'll bear with me. So we had a decrease in projected SBA funding because of building projects wrapping up. That's a decrease of 2.7 million. Communities and schools funding is drying up, so we don't have any word that that will continue beyond next year. So that's 388,000. And we've already got the grant funding for that, so that's why you're seeing a decrease. There's an increase in teacher induction funding of 737,000. There's an overall decrease in state aid of 1.2 million, but that is partially offset by an increase in PEIA and retirement allocations because of the 14% increase in PEIA costs of 1.8 million. And then, of course, there's an increase in the amount of state aid that we will provide for charter schools. That's 568,000 more. And for FY26, there's no pay raises budgeted, and this budget assumes a 14% increase, as I said, in employer PEIA premiums. Raleigh County Schools did experience a net enrollment decrease of 335 students for FY25. And enrollment continues to be challenging in light of population shifts and recent legislation regarding charter schools and Hope Scholarship. Since FY 2015, student enrollment has declined by 2,041 students. And charter schools are projected to reduce Raleigh County's state aid by $1,452,000 for FY26, and that's for 183 students. This is up from $884,000 for 114 students in FY25 and $307,000 for 43 students in FY24. In addition, reductions due to Hope Scholarship funding are not yet available, and they are not in these projections. Federal grant revenues will decrease by approximately 2.3 million, and that's due mainly to a reduction in ESSER spending of 1.5 million. The ESSER funds have expired, and Raleigh County schools expended all their funding as of June 30th, 2024. The remaining decrease is due to a decrease in funding for Stronger Connections. That's a $500,000 grant, and that was one-time funding, and a projected decrease in National School Lunch Program reimbursements of $185,000. Raleigh County Schools adopted a countywide community eligibility provision for FY25, and since 2015, Raleigh County Schools has been a full CEP at the elementary level only. Child nutrition reimbursements are expected to decrease $185,000, and that's due mainly to declining meal counts and a participation decrease, and with a slight decrease in overall food costs from what we had originally anticipated. So with a participation decrease along with decreased program costs, it is expected that county contributions will total 1.7 million, and that's down about 200,000 from where we projected we would be with full CEP. In addition, Raleigh County Schools takes full advantage of the donated food programs from the USDA, which helps offset increasing food costs. Medicaid revenues are expected to remain flat, and since 2014, we've received a decrease of about 50% in Medicaid revenues. The amount of carryover necessary to fund operations for FY26 will decrease to 4.5 million from 8.4 million for FY25. This is due mainly to the workforce realignment, which I'll discuss further in a moment, as well as decreased capital improvement spending. This budget assumes completion of construction on the Park Middle School renovation project, which is utilizing county capital project reserves and MIP School Building Authority funding, as well as phase 2 of the Park School project, which is the demo of the old gym, retention wall drainage upgrade, and additional parking. And there's some interior renovations as a part of that as well. Other major renovation projects that are expected to consist of roof replacements at Liberty High, Park Middle School, and a partial roof replacement at Stanford Elementary, track replacements at Independence High and Shady Spring High, as well as a tennis court rehabilitation for Shady Spring High. And we'll also have several playgrounds ongoing at several locations in FY26. Not included in this budget is an HVAC and control system replacement at ACT. This project is projected to be over $4.5 million. Raleigh County Schools has applied for a major improvement project award of $1 million to help offset the overall cost of the project. Should this be funded by the SBA, an additional $3.5 million of carryover funding would be necessary to fund this project. In addition, this budget also contains funding for a number of student and staff security enhancements for FY26. Salaries and fixed charges make up 73% of total expenditures, and for FY26, budgeted salaries and fixed charges are expected to decrease by over $2.7 million. This decrease is due to the recent workforce realignment reductions, partially offset by an increase of 14% in PEIE premium costs, and that's on those over formula positions. Professional staffing is expected to decrease from 79.27 positions to 27.27 positions. That's a reduction of 52 overall professional positions, and service over formula positions are expected to increase from 47.61 to 84.37. That's an increase of 36.76 positions. The service over formula positions were artificially decreased in the initial projections from WVDE because it did not include those ECATs in the third grade classrooms. And that's expected to be 29 positions for Raleigh County Schools. And the overall anticipated cost of over formula positions is projected at $5.8 million. The workforce realignment is expected to have the overall impact of placing more fully certified teachers in positions formerly held by short and long-term substitutes. This is expected to reduce overall professional substitute costs by over $2.3 million annually. In addition, the realignment of service personnel positions is expected to reduce service personnel substitute costs by over $700,000 annually. Areas of concern, of course, continued reductions in enrollment is causing year-over-year declines in state aid. Continued enrollment declines could result in cost reductions that could affect major programs. Continued enrollment declines also decrease positions allotted to counties through the state aid formula, which will cause significant increases in operating costs or could result in additional workforce reductions. Continued declining student participation or flat student participation in this child nutrition program could cause increases in the amount of county contributions required to fund the program. Inflationary pressures continue to impact overall costs. Board of Risk Liability insurance rate for FY26 are expected to remain flat compared to 25, which saw a $1.47 million annual increase. However, this is still an increase of 47% of $462,000 above FY23 levels. In addition, water and disposal costs are expected to be $538,000 for FY26, which is a 9% increase over FY25, which was a 30% increase over FY24. Water and disposal costs were $380,000 in FY22, so this is a 41.58% increase in water and disposal costs. Utilities, natural gas, propane, and electricity were $3.1 million in FY23 and are anticipated to be $4.1 million in FY26, a 32.25% increase. The impacts related to charter schools and Hope Scholarship programs are causing year-over-year reductions in state aid. When coupled with declining enrollment and inflationary cost pressures, it could significantly impact instructional support building and maintenance program. Similarly, tax collections, state budget adjustments, and increase in operating costs due to these inflationary issues could further impact operating results for FY26. Cost escalations could cause delays in the timing and completion of construction projects. Raleigh County Schools has planned for operation fluctuations and is well positioned to deal with short-term funding issues. However, inflationary pressures could cause some budgeted items to be removed or pushed out in future fiscal years. And the budget requests and associated costs will be monitored closely going forward. Hate to be all doom and gloom, but it's all doom and gloom.
The water thing, does that include the rate increase that Raleigh County PSD has requested? New one, yeah.
Well, I think that just came out like in the last week or two. It's not in here, so
That's a significant increase.
yeah.
schools that are on that system.
On that system, yes.
Yeah.
And I think, didn't AEP just recently file for another rate increase as well?
Yep.
So it can further impact the results. It seems like every 3 months they're asking for more increases.
We need to file for a rate increase on what we charge schools. Just-
Well, if you get that local share,
Yeah.
yeah. Any other questions? All right. Mhm. Yeah, sure.
You're saying 2.3 million savings. Is that because the substitutes that we had in those positions were not reimbursed by?
Well, so the workforce realignment really reduced the number of overall positions that Raleigh County has.
Okay,
Okay, those positions currently are being filled by long-term or short-term substitutes. So what the workforce realignment did was basically move certified teachers into positions that are currently being filled by those short and long-term subs. So essentially, you're getting more fully certified teachers in the classroom due to the realignment. That's the net result of it.
We don't hire the subs.
Right, and I think that's the part of the realignment that probably has gotten lost in the shuffle, is it's really putting more fully certified teachers in classrooms and replacing substitutes. Okay, all right. Thank you.
anybody else have any questions? Okay. That's all we have on our agenda. Meeting is adjourned.